the artwork is so all-consuming and so brain-numbingly like intense that I couldn't use it. Also, the eyes used to freak me out. Hi, I'm Mac from Tubby Tarot. Welcome to another 10 Talk Tuesday. What about the beauty of a tarot deck? I have a shitload of tarot decks behind me, and I would say 90% of them are absolutely beautiful. They are original, they are gorgeous, they are so beautiful that you just want to take the cards and frame them. But I also have some decks that are not quite as beautiful as others. In fact, I have one or two that I personally find quite ugly. And yet, those are usually the decks that tend to work the best, are the most honest, are the ones that kind of smack you on the head with their honesty. They are the ones that will give you the straightforward answer, no fiddly faddly. And I kind of like that. I like that no bullshit kind of stance with a lot of the decks. And as I say, I do find that with some of the less intricate and less pretty tarot decks that I have in my collection. Now, I was sitting thinking the other day, I thought to myself, that being the case, does it depend on whether a deck is beautiful or not to make a difference to the reading? Does that make a difference to the reading? If you are doing a reading with, say, a beautiful deck, something like, I don't know, something that's gorgeous, that's been beautifully printed, that's been gorgeous, and even if it's like quite high gloss like this, I mean, it's just really, really beautiful. Oh, sorry, my light, look at that. And does that sort of thing make a difference? Or, as I say, is it more the spiritual aspect and the connection aspect of the reader that create the reading? I find that with my very pretty decks, my beautiful decks, I do get a good reading. Obviously, I wouldn't purchase decks that I don't get a good reading for, unless it's a bit of a should I say, like a vanity choice. I like the artwork and I don't think I'm going to read it or whatever. But I do find that I get very caught up in artwork. I get very attracted to the artwork on cards, and for me, it's not a huge distraction, but I know that for a lot of people, that would be a distraction when they're doing a reading. They would find that the actual pictures on the cards are relatively distracting. Whereas if they're using a plain deck, and this is why I think a lot of people are they enjoy pip decks, because there isn't this massive amount of kind of like beauty and prettiness that is distracting. And I know a lot of people enjoy the Marseille Tarot because of not only because of this, but this is one of the reasons that a lot of people enjoy the Marseille Tarot, because it doesn't have pretty pictures all over it. It literally just has the sort of design. You've all seen the Marseille Tarot. It's got the weird design. And that's why I think a lot of people, and I think one of my followers, Briar Bear, I think it's you tend to, they tend to use the Marseille Tarot exclusively. I don't know. What do you think? Comments below, please. I want to know whether you find pretty pictures on a deck distracting. Also, do you find that if it's a sort of a very colourful and bright deck, like perhaps say the Cat Tarot, the one I have, you can't really see it here. Do you find that would automatically give you a softer reading than, say, something like a darker deck like the Necronomicon Tarot? Do you find that would influence your interpretation if you've got a pretty fairy deck in front of you that's soft and that's beautiful? Whereas if you had, say, a deck that's got like creatures on it, or not a lot of colors, say a black and white deck, do you find that the reading is softer if you have a pretty deck, and subconsciously you read softer, you do a softer reading, if you kind of know what I mean? I kind of know what I mean. I don't know. I kind of get it. I don't know if you get it. But do you find that that influences you? Or do you find that it doesn't matter what deck you use, the answers are the way you see the answers, the way you interpret the answers? That particular picture doesn't have an effect on you as a reader. It's more the energy coming out of the card. Or do you find that the energy for a card, on a card that is created by the artwork? Now, I've found that with a couple of decks where I've bought them because I've looked at YouTube videos of other readers who've used them, and I've kind of been like, wow, that's such an amazing deck, I'm going to get it. And the deck's been quite fancy, if you like. And I did find myself on one or two occasions actually being influenced by the energy of the deck and not so much by the artwork. But, and this is something else to think about, the artwork, I believe, influences the energy of the deck, if that makes sense. Okay, so if you have a pretty deck, if you have a deck that is all fairies and light and pretty stuff, you will generally read with you'll get a softer read, let's put it that way. Whereas if you are using a black and white deck, I think you can get some really good yes/no answers because it's either black or white, okay? So yeah, me personally, sometimes it does affect the reading for me, but a lot of the time it doesn't. As I said to you, I've got these really ugly decks. Well, I think they're really ugly. And they give amazing readings. You can do a soft reading with them. You can do a hardcore, knock you on the head reading with them. For me, with those particular decks, it doesn't affect me. The artwork doesn't affect me. But having said that, there are some decks in my collection that either are too pretty to read with, where the artwork actually is so blindingly beautiful, I can't really focus on the meaning and the reading and the energy because I'm so blown away by the artwork. That sort of deck would lend itself really to meditation, using it for different kinds of work, self-exploration, that sort of thing. But yeah, you can also use them for readings. And I think I was going to say, like, if the cards are really beautiful, the energy that I get from the deck can often be beautiful. I do remember, it's the deck, I can't remember the exact name of it, but some of you have got it. It's the deck with all the eyes. I call it the eyes deck. It's a bright, very bright deck. I actually gave mine away because I couldn't use it. It's a very bright deck with all the eyes. And that is one of the decks that the artwork is so all-consuming and so brain-numbingly like intense that I couldn't use it. Also, the eyes used to freak me out. It's a beautiful deck. Don't get me wrong, it's gorgeous. And that's why I bought it. But when I took it out the box and I saw all those eyes, I was like, hell no, I actually can't. I tried doing readings with it. And although it's a beautiful deck, I couldn't get any readings. I was just too freaked out by the artwork. So come on, tell me, let me know, what is your thought on this? Do you think that it is true that the pretty decks give you softer readings, or the pretty decks give you different readings to the decks that are slightly more plain or even really ugly? And don't forget, ugly is subjective, so I'm not putting any deck creator down here. I'm not trying to say that you've created like really, really ugly decks, but there are some ugly decks out there, let's be honest. And yet, do the ugly decks give you a good reading? I don't know. Comment down below while you're down there. Give me a little like, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and maybe tell a couple of your friends. Share this video if you like. I'm Matt from Tubby Tarot, and I'll see you next week for some more 10 Talk.